Hello, welcome to Moss Talks, where we have more conversations and more culture. I'm Joel,
Sydney, co-founder, editorial director of Moss Magazine.
and I serve as co-founder and also creative director for Moss Magazine. Sydney, when did we start the magazine?
In September of 2023 is when we first sat down, chatted about it, laid down the golden document, the foundation of everything.
Emphasis
Um,
on golden document.
Literally, it has like our inspo, our mission statement, our colors, everything related. But we released our first issue in November of 2023, so we had 2 months to prepare for it. And it was literally this big, and it's right there.
I'm
Y'all
gonna say
can
it's
see
less
that.
than 2 months. I think it's like, is it like 16 pages or is it less than that?
Yeah, and guess whose idea it was to release it so soon?
Yours?
You.
We can't. No, no.
Yes, it was because I was like, "Are you sure?" I was nervous. And you were like, "Yeah, we just have to do it. You just got to put it out there and we'll
I
just
mean,
grow." And true, looking back, that was true.
well, yeah, because the reason I say that, the reason I said that at that time, and I regret it now. Well, I regret it to a certain extent. I regret it because now it's coming back at me. See, because it's coming back at me. But the reason I said it at that time because with a lot of ideas like that I have, where it comes with like the photography, probably with your experience in film, they're like if you have an idea and then you write it down, you plan it, and you let it. We have a tendency to let it sit there. I just like we're in our mind is like, well, it'll get done one day. I know I'm gonna do it. Like, of course, I'll say in some distant far future it gets done. It, but
Yeah, no, I
but
totally agree. I'm happy that we forced ourselves to release it so soon because if we hadn't, we wouldn't be here today. Because who
that's
knows
true.
when it would have came out.
We're gonna get straight into our episode for today. We have a good one for y'all, and I hope y'all enjoy. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Abram Shaffer about his experience and journey as a creative director and storyteller. Thank you, Abram, for joining us today. We appreciate you so much.
I appreciate y'all for inviting me. So yeah.
I'm going to get started with my first question. So we did a little searching online and we saw that you do a lot of video direction, video production, and creative directing. How did your journey in creative direction begin?
Ooh, okay. It happened kind of by accident. I started out a musician. I wanted to be a jazz musician slash like music producer. And it kind of hit like 2017. That's when IG Stories came out. And I was like, I saw people were doing these cinematic vlogs on stories. I was like, oh, I want to learn how to do that. And it just kind of like I committed like every day I would put out a vlog. Like so taught myself how to edit, taught myself how to do all that stuff. I think the creative direction kind of started with me. Just like, okay, Abram, like this is how you craft a story. This is how you shoot properly. This is what exposure is, like all that stuff. So yeah, I would say it kind of started then, like 2017, 2018. Yeah.
Mhm. I'll say because that's an interesting point of I'll say point of return, or not even return, a point of just starting, because even though like you do creative direction now, when I look back at it, this is just my personal view. When I look back at it, it's you were kind of creative directing yourself because you had to start like understanding that IG stories was coming out, like this whole new platform, this whole new area of exploration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think at the time, like, and I even think now, like creative direction is such like a thrown out kind of term
Mhm.
where, at the time I didn't know what creative direction was. I think now if I think about creative direction too much, I get like in my head and think I have to abide by some type of rule. So, but yeah, it's definitely been like a growth period for sure.
And I'm sorry, I'm a yapper, but
No, 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 I love it. I love it.
I'll say even when we have interviews, I tell people that I'm the creative director. It kind of gives me like that little that twitch, kind of like it's like I said, it's so thrown out now. It's like people are like I'm creative director of this, creative director of that, and like everyone's good in their own right to actually create directs, but there's we know a select few where it's like you're just picking a font. We're like, we're proud of you for doing
Yeah.
your part, but it's not the same.
Yeah. I 100% agree. 100% agree with that. Yeah.
But it's all good work. Sydney, I'm gonna let you ask the next question before I go up too far.
It's okay. So I want to know, are there any artists or filmmakers that you deeply admire or just draw inspiration from?
Um, yeah. I would say, you know, you have those like Spike Lee, Damien Chazelle, you know, Gabriel Moses. He's like a new guy on the scene. He's like really dope. Um, I would say Anthony Bourdain. I'm a really big fan of his stuff. So I think those are kind of like the main four that that kind of like look to. But all their styles are vastly different, but I kind of pull pieces from each of them. So yeah.
Yeah, so like how have they influenced your work? Like in what ways have you seen that?
Yeah. So I really started with Damien Chazelle because I saw Whiplash when I was young. And it was just like I think the way he crafted such a relatable character where I was like, oh, I see myself in Andrew. Like I know that feeling, especially like, growing up in jazz and like playing bass and all that stuff. So um, just seeing there's a brutality in reality. That's kind of what I think. Like it was just watching that movie was like a slap in the face. Like this, someone's actually going through this right now. I think with Spike Lee, it's like embracing Black culture unapologetically. And I would say that's something that I'm now more comfortable with, but before I wasn't because the algorithm, I think, sometimes doesn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
don't be too Black, just be palatable.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So I think watching Spike Lee films, like the dude didn't care. Like he had all, I watched Mo Better Blues and just like seeing all the jazz references and, Black love and all that stuff. I think Anthony Bourdain, he showed me he has these rules when he did his documentaries. Um, there are no walk-ins. So you're not filming me walking in, shaking your hand. Not, if you don't get it, you don't get it. There are no when he's filming a conversation with someone, there's only one camera. So, the over the shoulder, whatever, like you either get it or you don't. So it showed like he said that he was going to these, foreign places, meeting with locals in villages. He didn't want it to feel like a production. He wanted to feel like, you're a human being. So I think that's something I learned just like having discernment of reality almost, let real be real almost. And I think, that's something, the big thing I learned. Gabriel Moses, someone I stumbled upon like a month ago, and I just fell in love with his work. And it's same along the lines of unapologetically Black, but doing it in like this forward thinking aesthetic way that's not like very trendy. So, most of his models, the way the color grade is just like really muted and like dark and but it has this like liveliness to it. I don't know, it's like yeah, so I think those are kind of the four that I've taken things from. It's like experiment, you know, love the reality, the unapologetically Black, and then the brutality in reality. So yeah.
No, yeah.
That's
I think like going back to the reality thing, like I feel like especially for me, like since going to film school and stuff, like I know how movies are made. I know what's going behind the scenes and reality TV, like it's a production, like it's never really reality. So the fact that he was like very adamant about having one camera and not
Yeah.
having it set up and not trying to get coverage and redo things,
Yeah.
that's super important. And then just even thinking about like just being unapologetic and thinking about like how mundane life can be sometimes, like it all plays in.
Yeah.
I would say I'm gonna circle back to Whiplash. So you
Yeah.
might have saw us cat laugh up over here because so we have a love-hate relationship with Whiplash.
Interesting. Okay.
I, I at the point I saw Whiplash, I was like, oh, like people talking about this movie, a lot of people praise it. So I was like, okay, like I was like, Sydney, hey, let's watch Whiplash.
Yeah.
We watched Whiplash. One person enjoyed it. The other person did not. But I'm gonna tell you now, I'm the person that enjoyed it. So,
Okay.
but I'm gonna add to my reason for enjoyment because my enjoyment is not based on the other parts that I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
It's purely based on the fact of it. It's a film that makes me evoke an emotion. It makes it makes me hate it because I see the pain, I see the unfairness of the teacher, I see all these things going on. I see the guy spiraling out of control, and it's just like I hate it, and that's
Yeah.
why I love it. Like when black people talk about Popeyes, Popeyes doesn't have great service. We
Yeah.
love Popeyes chicken, but we hate the service.
That's true.
Same with this. I have a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
I ate what I needed, but I'm not coming back every day.
Yeah. That was a really good analogy. That's like I've never even thought about that, but that's a really good analogy. Yeah.
I'm so sorry you were experiencing Joel. Like, this
You're
is
good. I
how he
love it.
is.
I love it.
This is just me unfiltered. That's all I gotta say.
But I will say the reason why I wasn't a fan of Whiplash is exactly why Joel liked it so much. Um, it was just like, I don't know, I'm like a super like empathetic person. So I
Mm.
was just watching the movie and I literally felt like I was experiencing everything. Um, and it literally is like it's whiplash. Like
Yeah.
there was not a moment where I could just breathe. So I didn't enjoy that experience. I also don't like roller coasters, so that's probably connected.
Okay, so your work blends visual storytelling with cultural commentary. What does your content process, I mean, creation process look like?
Oh God. Okay, my creation process. So I I have like a note, like a
Mhm,
just like Apple Notes where I just have like one-liners or concepts or whatever. I might see a film or something and think that, a section is cool.
mhm.
And then I'll spend Monday to Wednesday doing research if I need to interview anybody, if I need to watch a film 3 or 4 times to gather references, like I'll do that. Monday through Wednesday. Wednesday night, we start the script. And it sometimes might be like Wednesday morning, depending on how, you know, in vast the concept is. Um, yeah, filming, by Thursday, um, all day Thursday, stay up all night Thursday into Friday, finish editing by noon to release by 12:31, something like that. Yeah.
Say, and with my limited experience in filming and
Yeah.
in the whole process, salute to y'all, Sydney, and y'all got it. Because when sitting, this is the thing. I'm an audiophile. I love music,
Yeah.
but you mean to tell me I gotta listen to somebody say "Hey" 10 times over to get this cut right? No,
That's
no,
the
no, no,
best
no,
part.
no,
Yeah.
mm-mm,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
Um, so yeah, that's like I've definitely like I'm very much so like a process guy. So I have, you know, things that I've made that help with the process and like but I get down to like the nitty gritty, like the music has to be a certain way. If I that means I have to make the music from scratch, then like we'll spend extra time to do that. The color grade has to be how I see it in my head, script, the voiceover, like so. But now it's kind of like clockwork. I just kind of know how things are supposed to be in sound and kind of go from there. So yeah,
So are you like pushing out content every single week then, like based on this timeline?
yeah, just about every single week. Yeah,
Wow, I'm speechless.
yeah.
Again, salute to you.
I appreciate it. It's been like a little slower this month just because like life, but
Mhm.
yeah, I would like hold myself to like every week. It's kind of like putting in the reps, like I'm playing basketball or something. Just, you know, yeah.
What's one project that you're particularly proud of?
Okay. I did like 2 documentaries. So I did one documentary last year and another one at the beginning of this year. So the I work with like entrepreneurs for a living and focus on like storytelling with startups. So I went to New York and filmed an entrepreneur out there who was recently on Times 100 most influential businesses or whatever. So I went out there and he's from Nebraska and filmed him, told his story. Like he was a college athlete, thought he was going to go to the NFL, had like 4 concussions and had to stop. Um, and this was like my first. documentary that I've ever done. My pitched it to my boss. She was like, "Yeah, I think it's dope, so I think you should do it." Yeah, flew me out there, had a small little crew, and then the next one was at the top of this year, and one of the other entrepreneurs like in our program, he died from cancer, but he sold his business on his deathbed. So, um, like not a lot of people like people in the cohort knew about his story, but it was just like really interesting. How do you sell a business for millions when knowing you have cancer and you're dying? So I went to his hometown, filmed his wife, like interviewed his wife, and there's so much like limited material that I had to like basically like do some archiving on the internet, like whatever I could find about him, like photos. He was filming himself, like talking about his business, and you can kind of see his skin changing with the chemo. So we kind of use that as a device. The people who invested in him interviewed investors, all that stuff. So, um, yeah, that was like in the span of, two documentaries in the span of like 6 months. So I think that's something I never thought I would be able to do that or would do that. So I think that's something I'm pretty proud of.
Yeah, I love documentaries. I am usually watching one in my free time. I'm a bit of a
Yeah.
nerd there. But I don't know, I think they're super special because you like develop this relationship with your subject and it's super, super intimate and it's a lot more intimate than what is like in the final cut. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because like you really like do learn that person's life, their habits, their tendencies, and like you're documenting all of that. And you're also kind of freezing them in time in a way. So I just
Yeah.
think like exploring people in that way is really fun. And then also I feel like documentaries and like experimental like film and stuff are like very similar because how you just said you had to like archive some stuff and you had to like find different ways to portray his story because he obviously like he's no longer here.
Yeah.
Um, so like you have to like think outside of the box in order to like tell that story truthfully. So
Yeah. Yeah. It was like typically like when I'm locked in on a project, like I'm locked in. So we have an office like, maybe 15 minutes away. And like I was sleeping there for a couple days, just like would wake up, okay, let me edit. I had a backdrop up. So like if anybody needed to come in, I need to interview somebody and they were in town. I can just interview them, move it to the whatever. So like if it wasn't there, it was here doing voiceover, any, other things that need to be done. So yeah, yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience.
do you want to like keep doing documentaries in the future?
Um, yeah, I think they're dope. I think with the right subject or with the right people or person, I think I would continue to do it. Um, I think I've learned that I don't want to have it too produced and produce in terms of like lights, camera, action kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Rather have it more like a run and gun, still looking good, still looking solid, and still like a story is there. But I'd just rather not have like so many hands in the pot kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see, and like even though like even though I'm not in the area of film, as a photographer, making sure those intimate moments are like so important
Yeah.
because how in my recent work, like all the time I'm trying to make something new, make something that's gonna visually attract the person. But
Yeah.
the whole reason why I started photography was to get these intimate moments, these moments of like pure life. And I think with documentaries, like that's like amazing work. Like I don't have the patience for editing, but I'll record it anytime. Like whenever y'all need
Yes.
to somebody record something,
Huh.
hey.
I love that. No, definitely. Um, yeah.
When you tackle culture-focused topics in your videos, how do you decide the tone and perspective to take?
How do I decide what like perspective to take?
Yeah. Like
Um,
if you feel like it's gonna be like an issue, I'd say.
oh, okay. I try not to do it from like a clickbaity
Hmm.
thing. 'Cause I think that's like the easy way. Like, um, I I do try to one, I try to pick topics that aren't oversaturated or have some type of like context to it or depth. So one I did recently was about like Anne Lowe, and she designed Jackie Kennedy's wedding dress, but was like an unknown designer for years. Like one of the articles was like the industry's best kept secret. So she would still have to go through the back door, still have to do everything like that because it was during that time. But like those things affect design now. So how did, what she did with, Jackie Kennedy lead to, Virgil Abloh and Dapper Dan and Telfar Clemens, like, um, so I think media does a disservice with Black stories. And I think sometimes most of the time they do it from either a pity lens or a kind of semi-condescending and degrading lens. So I'm not, like I'm not a news journalist or anything like that, but I do want to bring about information that probably would have been hidden or you have to do like hella research on. Um, so yeah, I think like that's kind of how I approach it. I'm also just like a curious dude. So if I'm, thinking, I'm always thinking about something. So yeah,
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for that. And just in the fact of how you're not trying to add noise to things. Because I feel like when there are trending topics, especially like on the Black side of social media, it just becomes a bunch of noise, a bunch of opinions, a bunch of voices. So the fact that you're taking time to like dissect and look into different topics that we normally wouldn't think about is super important. And then that makes you stand out. And then that starts new conversations where we,
yeah,
get actual meaningful opinions.
yeah. I just like, there are a few writers that I like really enjoy, and I think cultural criticism, but also cultural acknowledgement is almost an art within itself. So we have so much going on culturally, and you know, we us as Black people, like we move culture so much, but it's always viewed from this media company lens. This like almost feels very gimmicky. How do you do it without an ulterior motive or agenda? Like my goal is not virality is cool, but like that's not the reason I'm displaying this information or anything like that. I just think these are things I would have loved to learn about Anlo when I was in college. Like what if I had that information, what would that have done for me now? Not saying this is a, good or bad thing, but um yeah, I just think, this dope information, I think even everyone should know some way.
Yeah. And honestly, that's exactly why we started this magazine to do the same thing, to
I
like
love
add voices in the media that aren't there getting
that.
covered up, because a lot of our stories or our interests or our perspectives, they get pushed away if, like you said, they don't fit into those two buckets. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I can go on a full rant about that, but I'm gonna let you ask your
I say,
question.
I saw on your Instagram that you had a short pinned. It's the I Don't Forgive You one. And I couldn't help but notice there were some like hints of like experimental film in there. So I want to know, how does experimentation play in your filmmaking?
It's really like every aspect of it. I think my goal is kind of like two things. I don't want my page to be put next to someone else's and you can get the same vibe. I don't want that. But same with my page. I don't want you to take two videos of mine and put them side by side and be like, these feel the same. So like, that may take extra time. But with that one specifically, it was it started with at the time it started with an emotion because I got done dirty. So like that's where the context came from. And then uh the experimentation part really just came from, okay, like off the surface level, stories of forgiveness. I don't forgive you right now. Where's some things where maybe other people have been done dirty and had to decide to forgive or not? And I think that's where the experimentation comes in. So that's where, I went to religious iconography. I think of Jesus and Judas. I think of Julius Caesar. Now, when you go deeper than that, that's thematic, but look at the art around that time. Very almost gothic, very kind of dark. How can I replicate that in the way that I'm shooting? Is that lighting? Is that composition? And if it is composition, and I want, when you look at those pieces, um, the things were like the movements. You had Julius Caesar, being assassinated. You had Judas kissing Jesus. So it's like this movement piece. So how can I replicate that? And that's where, the research and the experimentation comes in. Because like I think I did a breakdown of it. the I did two versions, where it's a color graded version and then a grayscale, like a black and white version. I was like, I really want the intention to be on the movement and what I'm doing, what I'm saying. So I want to remove any colored interest from it. And sometimes, forgiveness is a black and white thing. I forgive you or I don't. So if I can experiment with that, put that out there, mess with some other things, and like that's a long-winded answer, but that's kind of how I view that.
Oh, I'm literally obsessed right now. Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna go back and rewatch that. Um, because like so like part of like my like film background is like half of it was production, but the other half was studies. And so your whole
Mhm.
breakdown just now like reminded me how much I just love the study of film. Like that was a
Yes.
whole paper right there.
Yeah, I love that.
No, so like I'm obsessed and I really do appreciate like you took time with each and every single element that's in the film.
Yeah.
And I think that's just so important. Like we don't see that anymore. So thank you.
Nah,
Please
yeah,
keep at
I
it.
I appreciate that. I think the like, and I always say this, like I grew up a musician, so when I had a strict instructor and he would play these chords, why'd you play that scale? Like explain it to me, why'd you do that? Well, like I don't know, I just kind of feel like it. Well, not everything is feeling, I understand, but like why'd you use that chord tone? Why'd you so like I took that, just like learning scales and put that into video. Like if someone asked me why I picked the music, it's like, oh, because the music is trendy. No. Like when you all watch, going back to Whiplash, whether you liked it or not, there are specific elements that you liked about it and specific elements that you didn't. So if it was the anxiety inducing part, maybe it's the music. Okay, so the music was intentionally picked in order to give that feeling, whether people gravitate to it or not. So like I want to have that same thing where if I ever have to explain it, even if I never have to, I know internally like every piece of it was like deliberate. So yeah.
No, yeah, there is
Let's,
nothing better than an artist who knows how to explain their work. I'll
Yeah.
let you go, Joel.
let's Obviously, yeah, and that's one thing I love about films. Like when we used to get Disney movies, like take for instance like Lion King, like we used to have a whole orchestra for a movie, and like that's just one small part of it. That's not including all the different parts of the story, the animation, the
Yeah.
different levels it took to get to this specific point. But when you go back to films, like you say, you study these films, like study the background, study why it's being made, study how it's being made. Things as small as, like you said, music, movements, or like a specific angle of a camera can really influence one person's whole view of one single film.
Exactly.
Because it
Yeah.
get like, for instance, let's take reality TV. Hate to say it, I'm not a fan of reality TV, but let's take reality TV. Like whenever they show a 30-minute episode, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, however long it is, whenever the episode's done, the person that's watching the episode always talks about one specific thing. It's never just, oh, the camera was following her down the hall. It followed her all around the building and it came back up to the front. They don't talk about that. They be like, this girl got punched in the face. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about anything
Yeah.
else. And so like that's another a part of film that I think is important because like the detail that creates the influence.
Yeah. 100%.
But my last question is going to be, how do you stay inspired?
I think just by being curious, I think like asking questions. Um, I don't, I think we're like kind of in a culture right now where you have to be the smartest one in the room. And if you're not, then something's wrong with you. Or you have to, fake it to make it kind of vibe. So like me asking if I see something like on the Instagram story, I'm one like gonna ask you, what is it? What'd you do? How is this? Or I'll screenshot it and look it up or something. So I think it's curiosity is the thing that, keeps me inspired, I think. Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, curiosity is a key point. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. There are times I'll be on shoots, I'll be doing a video, or videos I started, and now I'll be doing a photo gig. And coming into it, the concept would be great. It'd be a
Yeah.
great concept. But then it's like there's the point where I said that there's a threshold where you pass the point I say of no return because you got everything you needed, but it's like you have extra time. You have
Yeah.
2 more hours or 30 minutes, however much to play with. And it's like in that moment, you're like, I have no more inspiration to do anything else. Like everything I needed has been accomplished.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna say again, I commend you, the filmmakers here. Because again, like as from a photographer point, I got the shot. I'm heading home. That's that's it. We're not fixing nothing. We're not trying any new light setups.
Yeah.
We got what we needed. I believe in us. Good job, team.
You got to
Yeah.
experiment to grow.
I mean, yeah, I would say I'm expanding on that. We're gonna move to our last segment. We're starting the segment where we call it quick fire. Basically,
Mhm.
just 5 questions, and whenever I ask it, just think of the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay, go-to snack for edit sessions.
Carrots.
Last movie you watched.
Uh, Lord Jesus, last movie I watched. What was the last movie I watched? Uh, Gladiator 2.
Ooh, jealous.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Neither.
I'm gonna have to come back to some of these. One thing you always keep on your desk.
Thing I always keep on my desk.
Hmm.
Headphones.
Favorite song to blast in the car.
Father Stretch My Hands, Part 1 by Kanye West.
Ooh, that's a good answer. Ooh, that's a good answer.
Okay, we might have to reflect.
Okay, so coming back to go-to snack, I'm starting from the top because
Yeah.
I'm not here. We listen and we don't judge.
Uh, Carrots are just, you can chomp on them, and it's
I'm
just like, yeah, it's just like, okay, snap, keep it moving.
I'm a, I'm
If,
a, I'm a, I'm gonna hold your hand when I ask this question.
oh my gosh.
Do you dip them in anything? It
Oh
does.
no.
Mm, I'm not going to judge.
Y'all
No
are
But
ranch?
dippers?
No ranch?
No, that's what the water is for. You got the water in the bag.
No, no.
What? No, because if I'm working, you got sauces and dips. Mm-mm. That's why you got the water in the bag. It'll marinate the sweetness. Yeah,
Carrot water is hilarious. Oh my God. I was with you. I was going to back you up on the carrots because I wear glasses and I feel like they have definitely helped my eyesight over time. So I
yeah.
was going to back you up, but the no ranch?
Oh my
See,
gosh.
I'll say I'll admit this. I'll get 5 carrots in, and then after that, I'm gonna need
You
something.
gotta. Oh, okay.
This is the point where Abram's over us. He's like, all right.
No, yeah, I get a lot of flack because like I don't like condiments or dips or anything. So like,
Mhm.
don't hot dog plain, carrots plain. No, leave all that
Uh,
stuff to someone else.
let's keep that list short. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. Um, but okay, so last movie you watched, Gladiator 2. Don't tell us anything about it because we still have to see it.
yeah.
What would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'll give it an 8.
Okay. Is that only put because of Denzel?
Now, I think the story was good. I think the
Okay.
story was good. Yeah.
I'll say that's good. Okay. So again, next question. You said no coffee, no to coffee or tea.
Just raw dog in life?
Yeah.
So
Well, I drink like Celsius sometimes.
he has carrot
Ew.
water. He has carrot water. He's got it.
Oh yeah, I got carrot water too, so yeah. Um, I would
But
like if I'm pulling out coffee if it's like gonna be a day. Like I
yeah.
think yesterday I pulled out coffee. Like
Hmm.
so it's rare,
Hmm.
but like I'll buy a Celsius in a heartbeat. And
Hmm.
yeah. So
I'll say that's fair. Have you ever had any Alani?
I had one for the first time I think a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
It tasted a little weird,
Hmm.
but I could get with it. I could get
Let's
with
see.
it.
I'm curious as to what flavor you had.
God, I think somebody just gave it to me and I was like, all right,
Oh,
I'll
that was
try
the
it.
downfall right there. That
Yeah.
was it right there.
I wasn't expecting it to be good. So it
Hmm.
was like surprisingly better.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Well, I will say I have converted from Celsius to Alani within this year.
Okay.
And I think they are just a little bit easier to get down. And
Okay.
I think they're technically a little healthier, but don't quote me on that. But I have been converted.
Okay. Fine. Yeah, I'm gonna have to we have like a pack in like a grocery store, so I might have to like buy a pack and bring it home. So yeah.
I see. If you're looking for suggestions, Hawaiian shaved ice is a good entry.
Okay.
I say,
Hawaiian shaved ice.
yeah. I would say I'm partial to the cherry slush, and I think it's peach something.
Hmm.
You'll see it can't miss it.
Can't miss it.
Yeah, literally when I say the fruit, you'd be like, oh, that's what he's talking about. It's
Yeah, yeah.
I say because
That's
you know
that.
how brands are now. It's like the fruits everywhere. Like you see it on there.
Yeah.
But
Beautiful.
yeah, and also last question, favorite stretch my hands.
Yeah.
Great pick,
Yeah.
great pick. Like
It's a goated Kanye song.
I'm thinking back to that fashion show he had with Lil Yachty and them where he
Yeah.
played. Was it that song? Was it another one? I think it was that song
Yeah,
because he would.
the listening party.
Yeah.
Like yeah. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. So
I say even though Kanye has had his pitfalls, it's like one thing I would say pre whatever the last album was, before that, his discography did not suffer.
yeah. I like Vultures 1, wasn't a big fan of Vultures 2.
Mm,
And yeah, I think like I feel like he's just trying a whole bunch of stuff and seeing what sticks, which I would rather
yeah.
do that in private than
hmm
public.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, like his earlier like, give me probably yeah. What was the Jesus King was solid
Yeah.
to me. I like
Yeah.
Jesus King. So anything before Donda was good. So anything before Donda. Like
Yeah.
before Donda, I'm solid. So
Yeah, I would agree. I would say I did listen to some of Vultures and we usually don't talk about celebrities on here, but we he came out with the song with North
mhm.
and I saw it on social media. I was like, swipe. I was like, as
Yeah,
much as North has been, I would say a good father's daughter because like she's been really getting getting back into his archive. I'd say
yeah.
I'm not at the point where I want to listen to his daughter. I'm not that old, but at the same time, I'm not that young either.
Yeah. I would like I want her to just like get older, maybe go through some struggles or something, and then come out with the album. Like what are you gonna talk about? Like being on the playground? Like I don't I'd rather not hear about that. So yeah.
And then there's
Probably
always
died.
the ethics of a child
Yeah, that's the
True.
biggest
celebrity.
point.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's a good point.
that's the end of this. Just want to thank you for speaking with us today. Again, if y'all haven't, please go check out Abram on Instagram, TikTok, wherever else you might find him. His work is phenomenal. You won't be disappointed. And as y'all have clearly heard, he's an amazing storyteller. And there's a lot of work behind the stories that he tells. So let's support him, y'all. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for sitting with us today.
All right, thank you all for inviting me. For sure.
Of
Yes.
course. Wow. Someone who just appreciates film.
I think
That's beautiful.
appreciation for film is really a hidden gift because like we talked about, or I kind of talked about was a lot of people see films, a lot of people have films they like, but I think people who are willing to really dive in behind it, like why was this film made? How was it made? What's the reasoning? Because like again, the the process of making it is very important. Like even with something small, like people do like little shorts for their brand campaigns or music videos, or like we'll call it Easter eggs. Like when you play a game, an Easter egg in a game is really important because it adds to the experience.
Yeah. Or even just the fact that like he was thinking about camera movement and cuts and then sound and like how that impacts the emotion of like that scene in that time. And like you just like you really don't hear people talk about film unless they like love film or
Mhm.
like studied it. So that was just really refreshing,
I
you
would
know.
say even when he brought up the time, at the time of when the times he was referencing, like he said, Jesus and Judas or Caesar, he was thinking about the time when those events happened and like how it was Gothic. Like, I think that was really important too because like if he's obviously pulling references from this era, so he's like, why not talk about the or like have something influence my video from this era as well, not just the
No,
story.
yeah. Yeah, that's like that's the beauty of mise en scène. That's like a huge film term. I'm sure you know
I
that
was gonna
one.
say I don't know that one.
Oh, really?
What's me
Oh,
Johnson?
let me school you. It's basically you think about the like the costuming, you think
Mm.
about the like the background scene, the setup, you think about lighting, and then you also think about the characters and how they're acting. And it all comes together to make like an aesthetic, basically.
To use a Gen Z term to defeat me Johnson.
Of course, duh. I don't want to sound like a boring old
No, I'm about no,
textbook.
I'm about to make a Gen Z term. You ready?
Oh, okay, go
It,
ahead. Oh, wait, I know.
aesthetic.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say vibes.
Oh yeah, vibes is like the worst word for me. Like I have like I just say I guess it's just because a lot of men use it now. And so like even though it's a common vocabulary, like especially in this time, I
I mean,
say it's
that's
just
a whole conversation for another time
I would
about
say
Gen
that's a
Z
whole
talk and where it comes from and how it's overhyped. You don't want to
we
get me started.
vibe is a whole nother conversation for me. So we just not gonna go there.
If you made it this far, thank you for
We
listening. We
appreciate you, yes.
appreciate it. This was episode 1, so be patient with us, but also come back for more, you know,
Mhm.
more talks, more
Mhm.
convo, more culture. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Um, but again, please, like on Spotify, subscribe to us on YouTube, like on Apple. And yeah, tune back in next week. We'll be here.
Thank you for joining Moss Talks. We'll talk to you later.